Lungelo here from Keith and Gessie Radio. Good morning to you, sir.
Now, how's it going in PE this morning?
Well, we're good. We're good this side. Thank you so much for joining us, celebrating this day with us. We are celebrating Heritage Day today, even though it's tomorrow, because it's a Friday. And we decided to reach out, in fact, to somebody who's been telling a lot of stories about our country and our backgrounds for ages and ages, ever since we grew up, some of us. So, it was a perfect time for us to have this conversation and to reach out and find out a bit more about the man they call Shucks, but also known as Leon Schuster. So good morning and welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, Lungile.
Leon, you've always been a funny person. I understand you used to pull pranks on family, friends, and everything in between, practical jokes ever since a young age. When did that become something that you thought you wanted to follow up on and develop into what it became, the career that has spanned all these decades?
Yeah, since I've been a little boy, my dream was to work at a radio station. And the biggest radio station in Afrikaans at that point in time was a thing called the Afrikaanse Radiodienst, the South African radio service. And I trained myself from a small whitey when I was like in standard 3, 4. I listened to the news readers and I wrote my own news. And
wow.
I had a little old tape recorder that my mom gave me, and I read the news on that and listened back to it. So it wasn't necessarily that I wanted to go into the entertainment as far as jokes is concerned, although I grew up with the rugby boys, and the rugby boys are very naughty. They drink too much on occasion, and then they cause problems. So I was one of them, and that's where a lot of my songs were born, touring on the bus. We couldn't fly during those days because it was too expensive.
Yeah,
and then I worked for the SABC in Pretoria, in Minnar Street. I lived right next to the SABC in a little flat. And at night, when I'm bored, I would go to the studio and just randomly record some guys,
Oh, wow.
Like, that was how it all started. And then my program head at that point in time, a guy called Henny Mars, discovered this tape on the top of a cupboard, listened to it and said, Leon, listen, this stuff is good. We must make a program of this. I said, you're joking, man. This is just fooling around. He said, no, the people will love this. And they did. And I think I made about 4 or 5 series of what was then called the vrypostige microphone.
Wow. And I mean, this is just unpacking where something you thought was a joke actually turned into something that people embraced for quite some time. Now, when you are funny, and tell things in a humorous way, is it difficult for people to tell when you are being serious or when you are joking?
I'll give you a good example. I was in the Pick and Pay the other day, and I was walking between the aisles, and I landed up next to a middle-aged woman, and she gave me one look, and she said, I know you, wrong. And she disappeared out of that Pick and Pay like you cannot believe it. And I've got so many. When I go to the doctor, the nurses think I'm there for a purpose to catch them out. Whatever I do, when I go to a restaurant, the people check me out, and I can see what's going on in their heads. They think, is this guy here really to eat, or is he here to prank? But I don't do pranking as a hobby. I do pranking as a career, and that will always be part of my DNA, because My mom was a prankster. Her two brothers were pranksters, and my dad was an excellent storyteller.
Oh,
So I've
wow.
got a bit of everything mixed in the bowl here, and it's been serving me for many, many years, since 1975 when I joined the SABC, and it's now 2022. So you can work out how old I am. I'm an old man now, not going to take the clubs anymore.
Well, I heard you almost gave your grandmother a heart attack when you put tomato sauce on yourself and pretended you shot yourself with a pellet gun. Was that what was that ages ago? Was that before you became
Yeah, man, I was still in about grade 8 or 9. But my my dad's mother, she quickly went into a panic attack, and I knew that. So I was actually very not so careful with her,
Mm.
And I fired a shot. She was sitting on the stoop. I was playing a little bit to the right on the grass with my cowboy hat and my pistols around my waist. And I fired a shot with my air gun. And I started screaming. And I gooide the tomato sauce. And she came running. Leon, is jy okay? Wat het jy gedoen? Het jy jouself raak geskiet?
Oh,
Ja,
no.
ouma. Sorry, that's a prank. So, you see, so many instances, when I was at high school, we had a place in Bloemfontein, the Waldorf Cafe.
Yes.
That was the only restaurant in Bloemfontein, daytime and nighttime. And what we used to do, we used to order a hamburger and then eat it about half and then put a cricket inside the bun on the meat. And then we'd call the manager and say, listen, look what you're serving us. A bloody hamburger with a cricket inside. Look at it, because we made sure that it was a bit squashed. I want another hamburger. So I scored 1.5 hamburgers instead of just one. But my brother was the big trickster. He led me into all these things, and to this day, he's got a very, very good sense of humor. So many times I test my stuff on him and he says, I don't think that's going to work, or brilliant idea, because he himself has got a very, very good sense of humor.
Oh, wow. I actually went to school. When I was at the Drakensberg Boys Choir, I went to school with your nephew, Walter.
Yes, is that a fact? Can you believe it?
Yeah.
You know that Walter died at the age of 22.
I heard about that.
Yeah. He died of liver cancer, and he never drank one beer in his life. He just had this very weak, and he had the most terrible suffering. And I loved him so much because he was the only one of all the kids, mine included, that were interested in entertainment. He started off with a sound studio where he recorded choirs and guys that sang songs that wanted to make a breakthrough in the industry. And he was so healthy. And then one day he just started complaining of this terrible pain on his tummy, and it went on and on and on. And finally he was diagnosed with a very, very rare liver disease. And that plus the death of my dad must have been the two worst nightmarish incidents that I've seen in my life. Both died of cancer, and it's not nice to see somebody suffering like that, especially a young boy, age 22, But anyhow, it was in God's plan. I think he's now directing the choir of angels in heaven.
Definitely.
I can see him standing there. So, things happen for a reason. A season for a reason, or a reason for a season,
Every
and that
time,
was a
indeed.
dark season.
You've also got a background in education. You went back and taught at the same high school that you went to. Being a filmmaker, and seeing the shortage or the state of film, did you always make a point of passing knowledge forward to other filmmakers and sharing what you know?
You know, when they want to know it, I'll share it with them. I'm actually at the moment busy writing my autobiography, which contains uh, everything that people maybe didn't know about me. And there's a
Mm,
lot of those. So yeah, it's lekker. It's a lekker job, but I'm actually tired from my last movie. I'm getting old now, you know. I'm 71,
mm.
so I don't have the enthusiasm to work so hard anymore. You know, I've just decided just relax a little bit because I've been working non-stop, 17 movies since 1985.
Mm.
And there's a time that you must tell yourself, listen, just take a break and take it easy. But the love of my life is movies, and as long as the good Lord gives me a brain and a mouth to speak, I will not stop making movies. I've already got a theme in my head for my next movie. I think the theme will be Yskom. Yskom. The only problem is we won't be able to shoot at night because there'll be no light.
Oh man. Leon,
Yeah.
tell us about you know the South Africa that Leon Schuster sees through the eye of the camera. You know, because you've brought us so many you've brought so much awareness to so many different things about us, and in a humorous way that makes us be able to laugh together about ourselves. You know, what made you pick up, or how do you see and identify these great characteristics of South Africa, and always manage to put them in such a way that we are able to chuckle at ourselves and, you know, not be so serious about everything?
You know, George Bernard Shaw, I can't remember whether he was English or American. I studied his work at university. He once said, if I tell a joke, it's the truth, because the truth is only really the best laugh.
Mm,
So that's what I believe in. You know, I'm very, very observant. I'll sit in a restaurant and I'll check out the mannerisms of people and I'll get an idea there. Or I'll sit in Wimpy and eat a breakfast and I'll see uh, this funny waiter, you know, that's giving me lip the whole time and I'm giving him lip. So it's really a case of being observant and identifying together with the rest of South Africa what they see as funny. That's why my stuff is always sort of, I sound like Nas Botha now, it's sort of, it's sort of satirical, you know. I look at what people do, I see what happens in Parliament, I look at legislation, and I'm very into history and politics, you know.
yes.
My TV is mainly on CNN and BBC. I'm so interested in world affairs. And I think that also helps me to stick to reality because Candid Camera is reality TV or reality movie.
Yes.
And I don't think, although I make movies in between because you can't just hold on to one dog for the rest of your life, but yeah, I just pick up ideas while I'm looking at the South African people. It's as if I'm holding a mirror over the country and
Yes.
I'm looking up at the mirror and I'm seeing all over South Africa what's taking place. Because once again, the reality is the funniest. The best laughs that I've had in my life was for reality TV, which basically is Candid Camera, but
Yes.
also reality TV shows, which tells the truth. So yeah, my story movies is totally different. Like Mr. Bones never existed and will never exist.
Mm,
White Sangoma with a black tribe. And I got a hell of a lot of flack from investors. They said, no, we're not interested. I said, why? They said, how can you be a white Sangoma and you the leader of the tribe? I said, you know why? Because Bones is a humble character who always believes more in God than he believes in his bones. So I gave him a lovable side. He's bedommerd as well, but I gave him a lovable side where people identify with this whitey being amongst the Kavukis. And, you know, Bones 1 and Bones 2 were my two most successful movies ever at the South African box office. So, yeah, I'm very, very grateful that the Lord gave me this little talent where I can pick up things from people walking in the streets. I sit in Cape Town in a park. I check out what happens there. I see, there's a potential idea for a gag. So, sorry, man, I've got a bit of cold.
Yes.
There's a lot of germs in Gauteng, and Germans. Yeah, no, I like to mirror the life of South Africans in my movies, and it's always been working for me. And what I'm not going to say now, I'm saying humbly, I'm the first movie maker in this country, except I don't know what there's not a lot of black movies being made. The one that won an Oscar was Tsotsi, which was brilliant.
Yes.
But for me, I'm not worried about race, creed, or color. You know, it doesn't matter anything to me. The same oak that is white is the same oak that can be black, is the same oak that can be an Indian. So this whole thing with Showmax that took my my movies where I did blackface, that banned them on TV. That hurts me badly. Number one, psychologically, because I think I'm not good enough anymore. And number two, because I lose money. I can't make another Mama Jack, for example.
Yes.
You know, they won't screen it.
And
yeah.
And I mean that is parallel to an ongoing debate, but in context, do you think it was unfairly judged for them? Was it harsh for them to go that way?
You mean for them to ban my movies? Yeah, you know what? People know my style. They used to my style. Each actor, comedy actor, has a certain style. And I never, ever had a black person, except in the press, moan about me doing blackface or Indian face or what other color face there might be. I love to play the colored Cape Okie, you know, who's fast with his mouth, and those worked for my pranks. And the main reason that I had to go black or Indian, people recognized me if I only had normal makeup on my face. So I had to find a way to disguise myself. And I said, look at the demographic South Africa, where you have such a vast majority of different people. You know, there's Indians, there's the whites, there's the blacks, there's the colored, there's Chinese, there's Japanese, there's Maltese. And I saw the gap. Like Zulu on My Stoop is rated as one of my all-time best movies.
Yes.
And there, I reversed characters with John Matshikiza. He went white and I went black. And that was a very, very successful movie. So the people know that I have no mean intentions. I have only the intention of entertaining. But it's now, like they say, the water onder die brug. I can't do anything about it. I try to set it right and to tell these oaks, listen. But you know, the whole world is so turned upside down with racism and sexism and LGBTQLF, whatever. You know, that they are so. I think if you now had to send up this racial marriage different race marriages, people are going to get cross
Yeah.
because they're not going to see that as funny. That's too close to the bone.
Ah.
You've got to be very clever in how you select your topic, because you can easily go overboard and then you stuff. But I never, ever, I threw myself out there to be clapped. And I always say the last, the epitaph on my tombstone will read, Leon couldn't take the last clap. Because everyone, when they ask my signatures, the first thing they ask me is, where's Shorty? Then I say, Shorty's in the cubbyhole of my car. And they laugh.
Oh, man.
And then they start taking photos. And these big aunties from Pick and Pay, they come in droves, like 6 or 7. And then they can't operate the camera because I know a camera, because I work with cameras my whole life, also cell phone camera.
Yes.
So I do the long hand thing where I have the camera on us and I take the picture. And I don't mind that. There's some entertainers that I've heard that sneer at fans. Go away. I'm busy. I'm thinking of something now. Just leave me.
There's more.
I have
there's
never
more of
ever done that to any person. And I
there-
can say millions that have approached me for my signature and for selfies. And I just cannot do it to disappoint them. And also, they my market. You know, they're the people that go for my movies and my CDs and everything. I've had such a great career, but I still, Clint Eastwood said, when they said, how can you be making movies at 90? And he said, I don't let the old man in. I think it's a psychological thing to think you're old if you're 70 or 75 or 80 or 90. You just talk yourself in because you look so bloody bad. When you look in the mirror, you talk yourself into the fact that you're becoming an old man, and that's wrong. You know, you should have a young spirit forever until the day you die.
Yeah, I mean, there's a saying that says you don't stop you don't get old because you stop playing. You stop playing because you don't stop playing because you get old. You get old because you stop playing.
Stop playing. That's right. That's right.
Leon, we've got a question here or a comment from one of our guests, Hamza. He says, good morning to you and Leon. Please ask your guest the following. Is film industry dying or improving considering the innovation and technology that is currently just being displayed?
You know, I think it's improving with Netflix and box office, and there's still the big screen. We thought that the big screen cinemas would be killed by all these much cheaper ways to watch movies like Netflix, like Showmax, like all those. But it's still going on. The movie industry is still doing quite well. There's just too few movies made in South Africa because with inflation, the budgets get to the guys. If I want to make a visual movie with slapstick that I prefer, I cannot make a movie of 3 million rand. I must make a movie of 13 to 23 million rand.
Jeez.
And my advice to young people would be, try and limit your budgets as thin as you can by doing stuff that the South Africans will enjoy. And I've spoken to all my producers. We had a big meeting recently, and they said, Leon, we cannot spend 20 million rand on a movie anymore. For a family of 6, it's going to cost you near to 1,000 rand with the popcorn and the Coke and the chocolates and whatever. He said, let's start limiting. But that's going to mean that I'll have to take out my visual stuff mostly and concentrate on funny dialogue and funny situations. And I've really got an interesting, I haven't started working on it because this last movie took the strength out of me, this Bones 3. and I'm tired, you know. I need just to rest a little bit because
Mm.
life cannot go on today like it was when you were 50. When I was 50, I made 2 movies a year. And then from 60 onwards, I decided to make only one a year. And that's what I'm aiming at now. But I'm not going to go directly into a movie now. Die ou man moet 'n bietjie gaan rus. Hy moet bietjie gaan rus.
Ach,
Sy
man.
knieë is seer, sy nek is seer, sy Achilles is seer, sy kop is seer, sy arm is seer. Daar's niks wat nie seer is nie. So I must take a break now. Just get away from the stress because movie making goes hand in hand with a hell of a lot of stress. You wonder, are the investors going to get back their money? Is the public going to be? Are they going to be? What can I say? Are they going to enjoy the movie, or did we miss the pot here? And I just tried to give you an example. Bones 3 took just over 12 million up to this point because it's still in some theaters. And the average South African movie doesn't take more than 2 to 3 million rand.
Wow.
There are some that are much better, and also the costs were more. I can't think of anything now, like Tsotsi, for example, was a good example. But Tsotsi was an expensive film, you know. So my advice to young potential filmmakers is keep the budget low and the laughs high. That's the secret of making movies. And I am now forced into cutting my budgets for whatever I'm going to do next. We cannot spend 15 to 20 around on a movie anymore.
Leon, how important is it to work with the right people? I mean, you spoke about Alfred Ndombela, who we know as Shorty, and some other people who are regular features in your works. Was that deliberate, or is that just the way that things ended up going or happening because it was a good chemistry?
You know, Lungile, that's your name. Am I pronouncing
it's
it correctly?
Ilungelo.
Ilungele, okay. Sorry. Anyhow, I was the first person in this country to get to a demographic audience which represents all race groups, as I've mentioned them. I was the first group that succeeded in doing that, where a white man can sit next to a black man can sit next to an Indian, and an Indian man can sit next to a guy who's Chinese. I was the first guy to break into a vast audience, and not only a white audience or a black audience. And that's been my saving grace, because now it is such a thrill to see all these different race groups sitting in one theater and all laughing at the same stuff. That unites people. That is like rugby. When the Boks win or Bafana wins, it unites people. They talk. They sit in the stands. They make new friends. It's a unifying fact. And I'm very proud of that. And I say it humbly, that I'm still doing the same thing. You know, I always include a few blacks, as many whites I include, just to balance it out, because there's brilliant black actors in this country. I don't even know half of them, you know. I worked with Kenneth Nkosi, who's a brilliant actor. I worked a lot with Little Alfie. But my previous movies, all of them, Mad Buddies, plus, what was the next one? I can't remember now. I always include a good ratio of black people because they like my movies, you know. The Boere are a bit shy. Let's put that in inverted commas, to come to me and said, Leon, I really enjoyed your movie. The black people and the Indian people are much more spontaneous, you know. They'll see me at a garage and they'll flip. Hey, Leon Schuster, Mr. Shucks, Mr. Shucks, he's here at our garage. And then they say, please, Mr. Shucks, just sing us the Guara Guara. And I get out of my car and I do a little few steps. Imura, Isuka, Uri Guara Guara. Imura, Isuka, Uri. And they love that. They go ballistic. And for the black ladies, I'll sing Mama Jack, Mama Jack. She is beautiful, cute and black. Mama Jack, Mama Jack. She's got balls, and that's a fact.
Oh man. So what's the future looking like for Leon Schuster as far as a filmmaker, as far as an entertainer, but also I guess a big brand in the entertainment industry and somebody that is highly regarded and people look up to?
I don't really know. Well, I'm in bed actually because I got a nasty flu. As I said, but I don't really know how far I can go from here. Whether I'm going to make 5 or 10 or 11 movies, that's in the hands of the Lord to guide me. And I must find the right stories. South Africa, you can't bull something. South Africa or the people of South Africa, they know this country. They know what's happening in the ANC. They know what's happening in the DA because they read their newspapers and they watch their news. So you can't just give them crap and expect them to laugh because they're on the ball with the day-to-day affairs in South Africa. So to answer your question, I will be guided by my brain and by seeing stuff which clicks in my head and tells me, listen, that is a very good theme for a movie, or that is a good incident in a movie. I saw one the other day which I cracked up, So, I get my ideas from the street, and I think the down-to-earth, not snobbish South African, they identify with my humor. Then you get the more snobbish guys who's like the professors at the university and so. I don't think they watch my movies in the open, but I'm sure when there was DVD still, they bought the DVD and watched it in the privacy of the offices. But they'll never acknowledge that Schuster makes good movies. That acknowledgement I get from the people, because I'm a people's person. I identify with all the races. We all like to talk to each other, so there's nothing windgat about me. I was born in the Free State and raised there, and if you try to be a windgat there, you got knocked very hard over your head with a cricket bat or kicked in the nuts with a rugby ball, We are just a down-to-earth province, the whole Vrystaat, down-to-earth farmers and down-to-earth oomies met groot boepense.
Oh, man. So, I always ask, I ask this at the end of every interview with every guest, because I think it's important and it's a perspective that only the horse, the person who I'm speaking with from the horse's mouth. Leon, what is it that today can't end without you saying?
Just say again.
What is it that today can't end without you saying? Something.
Must I say what I'll say?
Yes.
I will just say South Africans are a great bunch of people. All of them together. I don't like the crime and we don't like the corruption, so stop that. But that'll be my message. Let's live to laugh and let's live to be on the sport field, because that's, as I said, also very unifying.
The legendary Leon Shucks Schuster joining us on the Keith Ngesi Radio while we celebrate Heritage Day. Leon, thank you so much. I know you're suffering from a flu and it took a lot for you to do to give us the time. But thank you for that, and for being open about everything. You know, it's important that we get to find out, like you say, and you told us with the autobiography that you're working on, about the fact that you're going to be talking about things that most people don't know about you. It was good to get to know some of those things. Thank you so much for your time.
And thank you for your time. I really appreciate the interview. Okay.
Thank you, Leon.
We are extraterrestrial. We are KNR.
You're listening to the